Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to draw this poppy in markers and colored pencil, and it was so much fun to draw. I have a real-time version of this tutorial up in Critique Club. It's an hour long, broken into 4 different parts. If you want to check that out there, I'll have a link in the video description so you can learn more. We're going to start off by sketching on tone tan mixed media paper. And this is really nice because it's a thick paper. Actually, this is a tone gray. It comes in toned gray, tan, green, or blue, and they're all very soft, neutral tones that you can sketch on, and it just makes a drawing feel a little bit more complete because you're starting with kind of a middle value and you'll be building your highlights and your darks from that. So I'm using a Col Erase pencil, which is an erasable colored pencil made by Prismacolor, to sketch in the basic shapes of my poppy. I like to use that because I won't have graphite lines showing. I can erase lines I don't need, and any leftover lines, any of those sketch lines that I keep, will actually just kind of meld into my design. I have a set of 24 of these Col Erase pencils. They're very inexpensive. And I just choose a pencil that looks closest to what the colors I'm going to be using. It's not really waxy, so I can use it under watercolor, but it's really wonderful under marker, and there's not enough wax in the pencil to be picked up by the marker, which is really nice. I'm starting off with a warm gray 4, which is just kind of like a medium gray tone, and I am putting in my shadows. So I'm kind of almost doing like a grisaille underpainting here, basically. These brush markers are by that's hard to say first thing on a Sunday morning. They're coming out with a 120 set. I don't think they're up yet on Amazon. They have some of the smaller sets on sale if you want to try out a smaller set and see what you think. But when they're available, I will let you know. This is the first time I'm using the 120 set, but I've had the other sets for over a year now, when they first came out, and they're really fun to use. Just kind of getting in those values with this gray. And really I thought I was going to use maybe a darker value green gray because I didn't have a darker value warm gray that wasn't really, really dark. But I decided that actually this warm gray 4 was sufficient. It did everything I needed it to do. It just gave me that kind of shading on the gray paper so that I wouldn't lose my way as I was coloring, because those really pale colored pencil lines would disappear pretty quickly. Now, the thing you want to be aware of when you're working on a toned paper with markers is that the color is going to appear a lot darker at first because you're wetting the paper, which gives it that watermark appearance, which makes it darker, and you're already working on something that's darker. Plus, markers usually dry a little bit lighter on your paper, so just keep that in mind. Don't freak out while you're sketching. It is going to look a little bit darker. I also recommend that you fill the paper if you can. This is 6 inches by 8 inches, so it's not a huge page, but when you fill an area like that, then it really gives you room to shade, draw, get detail, and really play with a subject like that. So just consider drawing big sometimes if you're used to drawing small. I'm using this kind of darker mossy green color to add some shadows around the stamen, get the stem in, get some of those little, there's kind of like the center stamen, then these little strands that come out with all these like tiny little flowers on them, or little I don't know what it's called. I'm not a botanist, but I was calling them florets in the Critique Club video. But they're just kind of they kind of come out from that center, and they give a nice texture and a nice detail. So I was getting that in with some yellows and some greens. Now I'm taking this pastel yellow, and I'm going around and adding any of the areas that I think I want to keep kind of as highlight colors. And now I'm going in with this darker yellow and getting in some of those mid values. I'm overlapping colors, and basically when I'm doing this, every time I put a stroke down, I'm trying to capture the texture of the flower. So when I'm up in the curled edges of the petals, which kind of haven't unfurled yet, I'm getting that kind of crinkly texture, and as I'm on the open areas of the petals, I'm doing the streaks, the lines, so I get more of that crepey texture. So keep that in mind, because working on this mixed media paper, it's not a blending cardstock. It's not going to, your lines are going to stay a little bit more present. So you want to make sure that they are useful. You don't want to, I wouldn't want to color horizontally, just arbitrarily fill something in with the markers here, because I'm layering up. That's the technique I'm doing here. I'm doing more layering than blending. You can blend on this mixed media paper. Not all mixed media paper is good for blending. When you're choosing a paper, maybe you're at the store and you're trying to decide between 4 or 5 different mixed media pads. If you're going to be using markers primarily, you want a smoother mixed media pad that's kind of like a Bristol feeling, that's slick, that is that feels like it's kind of crispy and hard sized. You don't want something that feels soft like a watercolor paper, or very textured, because that's really rough on your markers, especially on like any brush tip markers, because it can wear them down a lot quicker. So keep that in mind when you're selecting. If you primarily do watercolors you're underpainting though, you'd want something that had a little more tooth to it. I find this paper is quite suitable for gouache, but it is very slick. So I tend to really enjoy this paper for using markers and then layering up on that. So if you've never tried markers on toned paper, I highly recommend the Strathmore mixed media paper for that. And I like tan for portraits. I like gray for different things. I used them a few times in some of the hand illustrations I did for Inktober, and I just fell in love with this paper. And it comes in different sizes, so you can get a bigger pad and cut it down if that's your cup of tea. I find the smaller pads to be a little bit more convenient. I wish it came in a sketchbook form, which I suppose I could take a pad and turn it into a sketchbook. But there you have it. I just think it's a really fun paper to use. So now I'm going in with an even darker green. I think this one is actually called dark moss green. It's kind of like a hooker's green, if you're familiar with that color. And there's a really strong shadow on the stem, which I really wanted to achieve with that color, because the light's kind of coming in from the upper right hand side. So that's how it's kind of affecting how the shadows are cast. The shadows are coming from above, or the sun's coming from above and casting the shadows on the stem and underneath like the curled areas of the petals. At this point, I'm using a white colored pencil to add in my brightest white highlights, and then I'm going in with this kind of sunburst yellow color to add those little florets in around the stamen, and I'm also adding in some highlights on the edges of the leaves. So at this point, I've pretty much figured that most of the work with the markers is done, and I'm going to be adding any lighter colors with my pencils. I'm going to be fleshing it out with the pencils. I can transition colors with the pencils. That's probably my biggest tip, is that if you're just getting into markers, because it can be kind of expensive, I would recommend looking for like maybe the biggest set you can afford. It doesn't have to be a humongous set. Nowadays, there's very affordable markers on the market. Like the Yahoo ones are not very expensive. They run about 50 cents a marker for traditional, or about $1 a marker for the brush tip ones. And then you can augment it with colored pencils. I really like the Prismacolor pencils myself, because I tend to use the pencils for highlights at the end of a drawing, and having those soft blendable pencils work really well for me. I know other artists prefer like polychromos because they like to do a lot of layering. So, maybe buy a couple pencils individually and see what you like the feel of the best before investing in a set, because generally buying your pencils in a set is more affordable. So keep that in mind. And also with the pencils, I would recommend buying the largest set you can afford, because like with Prismacolors, you will get duplicates. If you buy like a set of 36 and then realize, oh, I want to get the set of 150, or you get a set of 36 and you said, oh, I want to get a set of 72, every pencil in the smaller sets will be duplicated in the next larger set. So you're better off to figure out what type of pencils you like, and then save up for the largest set that you think you're going to need, because that way you're going to get the lower pencil per price and not get duplicates. And then you can always replace individual pencils by Prismacolor anyway, just by ordering them or picking them up at your big box store if they sell them. They usually will sell the most popular colors, but they're, usually under $2 to order individually. But when you buy them in a set, you can get them for like under $1. So it's just a little bit more economical that way. And pencils are pretty slow wearing. The ones I have to buy the most are like white, indigo, and terracotta for some reason, because those are my most used pencils. You'll probably have ones that you use more frequently, but that would be my advice. I love the white pencil in Prismacolor specifically. I mean, it tends to break. That's a bummer about it, but it's so soft and opaque that I can go in and I can get these really beautiful reflections and highlights with it. And it just really cuts through and sticks down over other pencils much better than pretty much any other brand I've tried. So I would highly recommend at least picking up a white one, even if you're not a big fan of Prismacolor. And there you have it, just a few colored pencil details, and it really pulls the drawing together. Remember, you can always go in with grays if you don't have a lot of color selection, whether it be markers or pencils. I try to just keep values as the most important aspect of my drawing, meaning how light or how dark something is. You can always just use pencil too, and just do pencil shading to improve your skills. You don't have to go buy anything that's expensive to be a better artist. So don't think like you have to do that. But, use the supplies you have and see what you can do with them. I really enjoy drawing with markers and colored pencils, and I hope you enjoyed this time lapse. And just a reminder, if you want the real-time version of this, you can find it in Critique Club. Critique Club is a membership club. It costs $5 a month, and you can upload your original artwork for personalized feedback from me me to help you grow as an artist. We have monthly prompts, and there's always 2 new free real-time long tutorials that are a little bit more advanced, usually in the mixed media realm, for you every month. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Give me a thumbs up before you go. And until next time, happy crafting.